She slid her phone across the table so I could see the message and said, "Just sign the apology card for him. He's sensitive." And I realized I was being trained to bow in my own life. Hey friends, please subscribe and turn on notifications, like this video, and leave a comment with your impressions. This will be a great help. Thank you. We never tire of reminding you. It's all thanks to you. I'm 34 and I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This happened in late spring, when the sun stays up longer and the evenings feel warm and hopeful. I used to love that season because it made me feel like the year was opening up. After this, I started seeing it differently. My girlfriend at the time was Yvonne, 31. She worked as a paralegal at a small civil litigation firm downtown. She was smart, organized, and the kind of person who could remember dates and details without writing them down. I work in municipal facilities maintenance for the city. I supervise vendors, track work orders, approve invoices, and make sure buildings don't fall apart. My job is mostly paperwork and practical problem solving. I am not a dramatic person. I like clean facts and clean timelines. Yvonne and I had been together a little over 2 years and living together in a rental house in the Northeast Heights for about 7 months. It was a modest place with a small backyard and a garage that barely fit my truck. It wasn't our forever home, but we treated it like a real step. We had a routine. We split chores. We had neighbors who waved. We did normal adult things. We were also on the edge of a bigger commitment. In March, we had signed a contract with a moving company for a June move to a nicer place closer to her office. The move wasn't across the country, just across town, but it was still a commitment. The moving company required a deposit to lock in a Saturday slot. I paid $950 because that was the deposit amount for a full-service move. It came with a written policy, refundable within 72 hours of booking, then partially refundable minus a scheduling fee, and non-refundable inside 14 days of the move. Yvonne had been excited. She'd been sending me links to furniture and talking about painting an accent wall. She said, "It's going to feel like we're building something real." I believed her. Then, a few weeks after we booked the movers, Yvonne started acting like someone else had joined our relationship without my consent. It showed up as little mismatches. She began staying later at work, which wasn't unusual in her field, but the explanations got vague. "I'm buried," she'd say, without specifics. She started taking quick calls in the hallway and stepping outside to answer texts, which was new for her. She also started dressing sharper on random weekdays, heels on days she used to wear flats, lipstick when she normally didn't bother. One Thursday, she came home with her hair done like she'd had it styled at lunch. I complimented her, and she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Big day?" I asked. "Just meetings," she said, and went to the bathroom with her phone. Another night, she fell asleep on the couch with her phone in her hand. The screen lit up when a message came through, and I saw the name before the screen dimmed. Drew. I knew that name too, not from her current life, from her past. She had mentioned him early in our relationship. Drew was her ex from before she moved to Albuquerque. She called him intense and dramatic and said the relationship ended because he always needed attention. She told me she didn't want that kind of life again. So when his name started appearing, it didn't feel like nothing. I didn't confront her that night. I'm not the type to wake someone up and demand explanations. I waited until the next day when we were both calm. We were in the kitchen and I kept my tone neutral. "Hey, I saw a message come in last night. Who is Drew?" Yvonne stiffened, but she recovered fast. "Why are you asking?" "Because you've mentioned him before," I said, "and now he's contacting you." She poured coffee into her mug and stared into it like it had answers. "He's just someone from my past. He reached out. He saw something online." "What online?" I asked. She gave me a quick smile that felt like a warning. "Don't go digging. It's not worth it." I didn't move. "I'm not digging. I'm asking you." She exhaled. "Fine. He saw a post about my promotion at the firm. He congratulated me. It turned into catching up. That's all." "Okay," I said, "and where is he?" "He's visiting Albuquerque for a few days," she said. "Work trip." I nodded once. "Are you planning to see him?" She hesitated, and in that hesitation, I could feel a decision already made. "Yes," she said, "I am." "When?" I asked. "Saturday," she said. "He invited me to meet for drinks at this rooftop place." I didn't raise my voice. I'm not comfortable with that. If you want to see him, I should be there. That's when she looked at me like I had failed a test. No, she said, you can't come. I blinked wide. She leaned back against the counter, arms crossed, and delivered the humiliating line like it was reasonable. Because you have a way of making things tense, she said, and I'm not bringing you as my emotional ballast. Emotional ballast. Like I was a weight, like I existed to be managed. I kept my voice calm. That's a cruel way to talk about me. She rolled her eyes. It's honest. You get quiet and judgy. Drew doesn't need that energy. Drew doesn't need what? I asked. She snapped. He doesn't need to feel attacked. He's sensitive. Then she slid her phone across the counter toward me and said, actually, since you're already making it a thing, just sign the apology card for him. He's sensitive. I told him you were just stressed lately. I stared at the phone. I didn't touch it. I could see the message thread. It wasn't explicit, but it was intimate in that emotional way. Little jokes, little heart emojis, references to how you used to make me feel safe. And her last message, right before she slid the phone to me, said, don't worry about him. He's a good guy, just practical. He'll calm down. She had painted me as the obstacle. She had already assigned me a role in her story and told her ex what I would do. And in that exact moment, I felt the inner switch flip. Not rage, not panic, just a clean understanding. This was not about closure. It was about power. She wanted to prove she could bring her ex back into her orbit, prioritize his comfort, and make me apologize for reacting like a normal partner. She wanted me to accept humiliation and call it maturity. And I had a moving contract and deposits sitting on my card for a future we were suddenly not living in together. I set the phone back on the counter gently, like it was a piece of evidence, not a weapon. I'm not signing anything, I said. Yvonne scoffed, so you're going to be stubborn. I nodded once, I'm going to be clear. She waved a hand like I was annoying. Whatever, I'm going Saturday, don't start a fight. I didn't start a fight. I went to the spare room, sat at my desk, and opened my email. The moving company's booking confirmation was there with the subject line, Move reservation confirmed, June 8. It included the deposit receipt and the cancellation policy. We were about 3 weeks out. That meant the deposit was partially refundable if canceled soon. I wasn't waiting until 2 days before and losing everything. I drafted an email. Hello, this is Nathan Pierce. I need to cancel the move reservation scheduled for June 8 due to a change in circumstances. Please confirm the refundable amount of the $950 deposit and the processing timeline. Thank you. I sent it at 2:18 p.m. Then, because I wanted a clear record, I called the moving company during business hours. I didn't want to rely on email alone. A dispatcher named Tony answered. I gave him the reservation number. He verified my name and the card last 4 digits. He said, you're outside the 72-hour window, but outside the 14-day window, so the refund will be deposit minus scheduling fee. That's $250 fee. You'll get $700 back. It takes 5-10 business days. I said, please email that confirmation. No problem, he said. Within minutes, an email arrived. Subject cancellation processed, refund summary. It spelled it out, deposit $950, scheduling fee $250, refund $700, expected timeline 5-10 business days. I saved it and forwarded it to my personal folder labeled May. That was step 1, undo the near future commitment. Step 2 was the Klein exit. I didn't want a screaming breakup scene. I didn't want to race her to the rooftop bar. I didn't want to call her friends or her mom. I wanted to quietly remove myself from the situation with my dignity intact. Our lease was in both our names. I pulled up the lease PDF from the shared folder we kept on the house laptop. The lease had a clause about early termination and roommate release. Either tenant could request removal, but the landlord required written consent from both tenants and a new application from the remaining tenant, plus a processing fee. Otherwise, early termination required a releasing fee equal to 1 month's rent and 30 days' notice. I emailed the property management company. Hello, this is Nathan Pierce at 2016 Willow Ridge Doctor. I need information on roommate release or early termination due to a relationship change. Please send the process and fees in writing. Thank you. Then I packed only what was clearly mine. My clothes, my work uniforms, my laptop, my tool bag, my personal documents, my dad's old fishing rods, the small safe I kept my passport in, my books, the blender I brought from my old apartment that still had the sticker on it, my cast iron pan, the framed photo of my late uncle that sat on my dresser. I left shared items exactly where they were: couch, bed frame, TV, kitchen stuff we bought together, all untouched. I did not want any argument about property. I rented a storage unit online for month to month and reserved a small van for Sunday morning. I called my friend Russell, who lived across town and had helped me move once before. I need a hand tomorrow, I said. No drama, just boxes. He didn't ask for details. He said, I'll be there. I also arranged a temporary place to stay. My cousin Elaine had a guest room. I called her and said, I need to crash for a couple weeks. She said yes. I didn't announce any of this to Yvonne, because the second you announce a boundary to someone who likes control, they scramble to control the boundary. Friday night, Yvonne acted almost cheerful. She made dinner like nothing was wrong. She even poured me a glass of wine and asked about my day. It felt surreal, like she wanted the comfort of our normal life while keeping her secret life intact. At one point, her phone buzzed, and she smiled at the screen. Drew, I asked calmly. She didn't deny it. Yeah, he's excited to see the city. I nodded, okay. She studied my face like she was waiting for me to explode. When I didn't, she looked almost disappointed. See, she said, this is better, just be cool. I am cool, I said. What I didn't say was that I was already gone in my mind. Saturday afternoon, she got ready for the rooftop drinks like it was a date. Hair curled, makeup done, a dress that was too nice for catching up. She sprayed perfume and asked me, do I look okay? I gave her the simplest answer, you look ready. She frowned, that's not a compliment. I shrugged lightly, it's accurate. She grabbed her purse, don't be weird while I'm gone. I don't want to come home to some silent tantrum. I didn't argue, have a good time. She left. I didn't follow her. I didn't track her location. I didn't call the rooftop place. I didn't do anything illegal. I just executed my plan. Russell arrived at 6:30 p.m. We loaded boxes into my truck, then moved the larger items that were clearly mine into the storage unit. I left the house clean and functional. I didn't take the towels. I didn't take the dishes. I didn't do petty things like remove light bulbs. I wanted no reason for her to claim I was vindictive. While we were taping the last box, the kitchen tablet chimed. It was logged into the shared household email, and a notification popped up across the top. Subject: reservation confirmation, Skyline Terrace, 7:30 p.m. It was addressed to Yvonne, but it was sent to the shared email because she'd used it before for delivery and reservations. The email included the note, table for two, request, quiet corner. Quiet corners. Not a public catch-up in the open, a quiet corner. I took a screenshot and emailed it to myself, not to show people, to document the reality I was living in. 10 minutes later, another email came through. Subject: thanks for your order, Skyline Terrace. It was a receipt for a bottle service add-on, paid by Yvonne's card. It had two names listed under guest notes, Yvonne and Drew. That was the receipts chain I needed, obtained legally, delivered right to a shared inbox. I taped the box, set the tablet down, and finished moving. I left a note on the kitchen counter, short and factual. I moved my personal property. I'll communicate about lease and bills by email. Nathan. Then I drove to my cousin's place and slept in a clean guest room, feeling the quiet settle over me like a blanket. Yvonne came home after midnight. I know because we had a doorbell camera installed with landlord permission, because our neighborhood had packages go missing. Both of us had access. My phone still received alerts because I was still on the account. I didn't watch a live feed. I simply saw the notification and went back to sleep. The next morning, I returned with Russell to pick up the last small items I had left on purpose: my work badge, a couple tools in the garage, and my folder of personal documents. Yvonne was in the kitchen, pale and angry. She looked at the empty closet space and the missing boxes and said, "What did you do?" I kept my voice calm. I moved out. She let out a sharp laugh. "Because I met an old boyfriend for drinks, you are unbelievable." I didn't argue, because you asked me to sign an apology for him, because you called me emotional ballast, because you told me he was sensitive and you needed to protect him from my presence. She snapped, "You're twisting it." I shook my head once. I'm repeating it. She moved into the gaslighting cycle like she was following steps. Minimization, it was just drinks. Blame, you're insecure. Insults, you're rigid, you're boring, you can't handle adult friendships. Tears, her eyes suddenly filled. "I can't believe you're abandoning me." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult her back. I stated facts. "I canceled the movers," I said. "Refund is processing." Her eyes widened. "What movers?" I kept it simple. "The move we booked for June. The deposit was on my card. I canceled it yesterday." She looked like the floor shifted. "You did that behind my back." I nodded slightly. "You were making plans behind mine." She opened her mouth, then changed tactics. "Drew is nothing. You're making him into a villain." I stayed calm. "I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about you choosing his comfort over mine." She wiped her face aggressively. "You're so cold." I looked at her. "I'm being careful." She tried to step closer. "Nathan, please, just talk to me." I shook my head once. "Only logistics." She stared at me like she hated that I wasn't giving her a big emotional sign to use as proof she was right. I picked up my last items, nodded to Russell, and left. The contact attempts came fast. First, Yvonne called my phone repeatedly. I didn't answer. The voicemails swung from angry to pleading. "Call me back. You're being cruel. I didn't do anything. Please come home." Second, I got a text from an unknown number that night. "This is Drew. You don't know me, but you're overreacting. She cares about you." I didn't reply. I took a screenshot and blocked the number. Third, Yvonne emailed me from her work email address, which told me she was desperate enough to blur boundaries. Subject, "You can't do this." The email was long, emotional, and contradictory. She said I was punishing her. She said I was controlling. She said I was throwing away something good. She also asked if we could reset and pretend it didn't happen. I replied with 2 sentences. "I will only communicate about lease and bills. Please do not contact me through your workplace." Then came the intermediary. Her coworker, a woman named Danui, messaged me on social media asking if we could talk for Yvonne. I didn't engage. I responded once, "Please stop, this is private." Then I blocked. Meanwhile, I kept handling the legal stuff. The property management company responded with the roommate release form and requirements. Yvonne would need to qualify on her own income. If she didn't, we either found an approved replacement tenant or paid the early termination fee and gave notice. It was all spelled out with fees and timelines. I forwarded the email to Yvonne with one line, "Please choose option by Wednesday." She didn't choose. She kept trying to pull me into feelings. "Why are you doing this?" I answered only facts. "Because the relationship is no longer respectful, choose an option." Quiet karma came exactly the way it usually does, through reality. Yvonne had been counting on our planned move. She had already told her coworkers she was upgrading. She had already started shopping for furniture. When she realized the movers were canceled and the new place wasn't happening, she looked foolish. Not because I announced it, but because she had talked about it publicly as if it was guaranteed. She also couldn't afford the rental house easily on her own. Paralegal salaries are decent, but not rent plus utilities plus everything else, without a second income. She tried to keep the place anyway, because she didn't want to admit she'd blown it up. Then Drew, the sensitive ex she defended, did what men like that often do when the situation stops being fun. He left. The rooftop drinks turned into a couple more meetups, then missed calls, then short replies, then silence. Yvonne texted me one night, furious and embarrassed. "He just wanted attention. He's ignoring me now." I didn't respond, not out of spite, because it wasn't my job to comfort her about the consequences of choosing someone else over me. She ended up having to choose early termination because she couldn't qualify a loan and didn't want a roommate. The fee was 1 month's rent. We split it because both our names were on the lease and I wasn't going to risk my credit by refusing. I paid my half by cashier's check, got a receipt, and emailed her a copy for her records. A week later, the moving company refund hit my account. My bank notification popped up at 11:08 a.m. Refund received $700. I saved it, not to brag, to close the file. Months passed. I moved into a smaller apartment near my job. I focused on work. I started sleeping better. I started running again in the mornings, just short loops, nothing heroic, but enough to clear my head. My life became quiet in a way that felt healthy. The epilogue moment happened in August, about 3 months later, in a place that felt almost symbolic. I was at the county clerk's office on a Wednesday morning, renewing the registration on my truck. Fluorescent lights, hard chairs, people holding numbered tickets. It was the kind of place where life is pure paperwork and no one is pretending. I heard my name behind me. I turned and saw Yvonne standing near the line, holding a folder, looking thinner and tired. "Nathan," she said softly. I nodded, "Hi." She stepped closer, careful. "I didn't know you'd be here." "Registration," I said. She gave a weak smile, "Of course." She held the folder tighter. "Can I talk to you for a minute? I know it's not the place, but I've been trying to reach you." I kept my voice polite. "About what?" Her eyes filled. "I messed up. I let my ego take over. I wanted to feel wanted, and I treated you like you were something I could control." That was the first honest sentence I'd heard from her in months. I nodded once. "Yes, you did." She flinched at the agreement. "I'm sorry. I didn't think you'd actually leave. I thought you'd just calm down like you always do." There it was again. She expected my stability to absorb her disrespect. I kept my tone steady. "I'm not available for that anymore." She swallowed. "Drew is gone. He was never serious. I feel stupid." I didn't gloat. "I'm not here to judge you." She looked up at me, hopeful. "Then, is there any chance we can start over?" I shook my head once, calm and final. "No." Her shoulders sagged like she already knew. She nodded, embarrassed that she was crying in a government office. "Okay," she whispered. I nodded back. "Take care." Then my number was called, and I stepped forward to the counter, handed over my paperwork, and felt the strange relief of a life that no longer required me to apologize for someone else's bad choices. If you've ever been pushed to shrink yourself to make someone else comfortable, tell me in the comments what your breaking point would have been.